Patreon, going strong. If you want to go over there and join in on the fun, we got 3 tiers on Canadian dollars. First tier is $3 a month, where you get these episodes ad free. You also get AMAs once a month, or learn about me episodes once a month. And then on the second tier, which is $5 a month, you get everything from the first tier, as well as coverage of a reality show of yesteryear. That's right now Jersey Shore, currently in season 3. You can also go to the main feed, where there will be the first episode of every season released there. So you can try that before you head over to the Patreon. And then on the third tier, you get everything from the first 2 tiers, as well as coverage from a true crime documentary. We got the backlog of Ashley Madison documentary, Man with 1,000 Kids, Into the Fire, Lacey Peterson, and again, all those episodes for the first episode of each is in the main feed, so you can try that before you head over. So if you are interested, you can head over to patreon.com/realityt times 2, and you can sign up for whichever tier you feel for. Again, you can try before you buy, which basically means you can try any tier for a week before committing to it. Even if you are on other tier, if you are on tier 1 or the first tier and you want to go over to the second tier, you could still try that second tier for a week before committing to the upgrade. So again, that is at patreon.com/realityt times 2. And of course, the link is in the show notes, website, social media accounts. It's all available there. This episode is ad-free on the Patreon. So if you want to partake in that, you can head on over to patreon.com/realityt times 2. Welcome to Reality Tea Times 2, the podcast where we discuss all the trash reality TV we love to hate. I'm Tanika, and today we're going to be discussing Love is Blind. This episode, we're going to be covering episode 5 and 6. So, let's jump into the reason that we're here. Episode 5, y'all. So we left off with good old Kevin just going into the pod, hoping Tyler's there on the other side, and realizing that she did what she promised she was going to do. She's going to tip the fuck out. So he's like, wow, someone actually called me out on my shit. Wow. What are you wowing for? Why are you shocked that she's not here? She told your ass that I'm not going to be here the next day if this is how you're going to make me feel. So anyways, he walks out because, wow. In the quarters, Tyler is saying her goodbyes because she's out. She's leaving. She's donezo. So we'll get back to them in a minute. We got a reveal with Devontae and Brittany. She says, I thought he would be taller. He's also very sticky. Ew. He would not be someone that I would pick in a bar. And while she's speaking, I'm thinking, oh no, we're getting an arena all over again. We'll see if we did, but she's like, I don't care. We all got fats. We all get fat someday. What? We all get fat someday? Ma'am, how rude. She says his eyes are gorgeous. Those eyes will get me pregnant. Well, damn. How do we get from we all get fat sometimes or someday to those eyes will get me pregnant? What? He says, I have never dated, let alone proposed to a woman of color. So that's interesting. We got Emma and Mike, and she reads him something that she wrote. She says, I knew I wanted a strong man that knows what he wants, but I got so much more. I kicked myself for not seeing it earlier, but this was a slow burn. Was it a slow burn as much as it was that your first pick decided to go to somebody else? I'm just saying. He gets down on one knee and proposes, and she says a million times yes. Back to Kevin, y'all, because that's where the highlight is of this episode. He admits, so, guys, I know I've been saying that these women are crazy, but I told Tyler that I chose her and I flip-flopped. But basically, he's saying I felt pressured to pick her because she was out here making me pick. So I picked, and I picked her because what more am I going to do? Even though you were literally going to tell Kia that, like, I'm outie, but then you're like, you know what? I like the sound of your voice. You know what I mean? I told her it was her, and she still walked out. Like, how could you do that to me? Right now, it could seem that Kia is a second option, but she's not. She's not the second option. She literally is a second option, my guy. Anyways, these guys not knowing the full situation here is like, well, you may have just dodged a bullet because that Tyler, oof, the fuck? I mean, maybe. I don't think she's 100% okay. However, I think she dodged a whole ass bullet and then some because this man has no clue what he wants. How can anyone rely on a person who can't even, he probably doesn't even know whether or not he wants a big crunch or two-piece original recipe. He doesn't know what he wants. So he's going to make this work with Kia because it's gotta work, y'all. He says, you've been it, even though I was literally going to break up with you for Tyler, but then I thought, I really like your voice. But you've been it, girl. You've been it. You're not demanding. Excuse the fuck out of me. Excuse me. So because Tyler's a little bit demanding, but because Tyler is demanding, aka knows what the fuck she wants, unlike you, sir, she's demanding. Okay. That peaceful spirit has made me love you because you gotta keep sweet up in this bitch. What? He then says Tyler pressured me into making a decision, and I did say that I picked her. Why are you telling her this? Why are you telling her that I did pick Tyler? Because she pressured me. And basically, I don't know what you think this is going to do for you. But let's continue. I don't want you thinking that you're the second option, even though, like I've said, you literally are the second option. She says, I don't feel like a second option because I'm a grown-ass woman. I understand what I signed up for. You have said so many great things. You really have. But I am not falling in love with you. Boom. Boom. When this girl said, I'm not falling in love with you, I'm like, you've won the entire series. You've won the entire series. You've won the UK version. You've won the German version, the Brazilian version, the France version. You've won them all. You've won them all. I haven't even watched those other versions because subtitles, maybe they're dubbed. They could be dubbed. I didn't even think about that. But anyways, we are not. I can't. But when the Canadian version comes, because it is coming, I have no choice. But how does that work? Do we just recycle through all the provinces? We've only got 10 and 3 territories. Do we have 3 territories or 2? 3. So, yikes. But anyways, enough about a Canadian version that hasn't even happened yet. Um, she's won. She won the series, I'm telling you. Anyways, um, I don't think you're ready to be someone's husband. Amen to that. Say that again. She says, I don't think you should have been here. Like, I'm not saying you shouldn't have been. I am. Sir, I am. I'm saying you shouldn't have been here. But she's going to be nice to you to some degree. You couldn't handle being torn into two, which is literally the assignment. You picked Tyler, but she deserved better than that. Get yourself together. Please, for the love of fucking God, please get yourself together, sir. I gotta choose myself. So she goes back to the quarters like the boss bitch she is. She's like, I chose myself. Bitches. Hell yeah. We got screaming, and the men over in the quarters are like, oh, oh, that's a good scream. My guy proposed. It's a good. He walks in and he's like, no, no, it's not a good scream. It's a good scream. It's a good scream for the ladies because here's a woman choosing herself. It is a good scream. Not for you, but for her. Um, she says, I have been a fix-a-hoe. Thank God you've recognized that and dealt with it. Um, I am not going to do that any longer. Again, she won the damn series. She's won reality television. We got a reveal with Emma and Mike, and I love that she is not hiding her scars. I love that she just came in full blown and this is who I am. Take me or leave me. Loved that. He says, I know she has the skin graft. I was not surprised by that, but I was focusing on her smile. Oh, that's so sweet. She's gorgeous, he says. He does say, I have never dated outside of my race before, but that's basically that. So before we head out completely out of the pods, let's go to my predictions at this point. Of course, I know I'm a little, I'm behind as always, whatever, but these are my predictions. At this point, nothing's happened yet. No weddings have happened yet. That's probably going to be this week, but that's fine. Nothing's happened yet. So here we go. Vic and Christine. I say yes. So we'll see. Jordan and Amber, I said maybe. And again, I think the obvious, the maybe is coming from how he's going to handle her daughter and that dynamic. So we'll see. Alex and Ashley, I said hell no. You know why? Because they are too hyper focused on their sexual compatibility. I think he's here for a good time, not a long time. So no. Chris and Jessica, I said yes. And I know Chris has turned into a nightmare. I have not gotten to that yet. So I'm going to be in a world of bliss and say, Chris is great. No, he's not. I know he's not. But for me right now, where I'm at, because I haven't finished episode 6 yet, he's great. He's fine. Um, Connor and Bree, I said yes. Again, I heard Connor sucks as well. So it's great. Devontae and Brittany, I said no. I said no to that. And Mike and Emma, I realized I did not put a prediction here, so I'm going to do that now. I'm going to say maybe for them because I worry about when it comes to the children conversation. I do think that's something he is not willing to budge on. I don't think he necessarily needs to have biological children. I'm not clear on that for him, but I don't think he'd be willing to not be a father at all. And if she is hell-bent on not being a mother, this is exactly what she wants, which is perfectly fine. And she does not want to be a mother. I don't think it's gonna work. Let's get back to the rest of the episode. Okay. So Nick and Vanessa are here to state the obvious. We're in Mexico, in Cabo. This resort is so cool, by the way. We kind of see them like, yeah. I thought that like the spiral, is that what it is? It was very cool. Anyways, now we're gonna be doing couple by couple. So let's get to it. Brittany and Devontae. So she says that her dad is black and her mother is Colombian. I was trying to figure her out. I'm like, is she biracial? Is there something else going on here? No, she's biracial, but the kiss for the first time in the hot tub. She's feeling good about being in person with him, but as for sex, she wants to be sure who she has sex with next in her life is going to be with them together for the rest of their lives. Because if I remember correctly, she is being celibate, so yeah, she's gonna be very careful of who she gives that to, and I think that's perfectly fine. You don't gotta have sex in the situation. You don't know these people. You don't even know if you're going to actually get married at the end of it. So I think that's very fair. But that's basically it for them. Of course, the couples at this point is very little because we're just meeting them for the first time halfway through in episode 5. But Jessica and Chris, one quick thing. So she has strong political views. Girl, I am going to need to know what those political views are. She did not tell us. I don't really want to know because I don't want to deal with it right now. So yeah. Alex and Ashley, they are looking at his surgery scars. Because if you remember, I think I mentioned he did have surgery. I don't know if I mentioned it, but he mentions that he had surgery to deal with an injury. So yeah, they're kind of looking at that. They're looking at his tattoo. She likes to read smut. That's not surprising. No problem with reading some smut, but I'm just saying that's surprising. But then she locks eyes with him and he's like, don't do that. Don't do that. Then the lip biting starts to happen and he's like, don't do that. You're making it difficult. And she's like, you mean I'm not making it hard? Girlfriend, stop it. So they gonna fuck, right? Yeah, they are. And at this point, okay, listen, y'all did Netflix, you did this on purpose. You did this on purpose because while they're doing their thing here, doesn't the song from 50 Shades of Grey, 50 Shades Freed to be exact, starts playing. The um they say good boys go to heaven, bad boys bring heaven to you. Now, if you watch the movie, it's literally during a sex scene when they're in the Colorado house for the vacation and they have sex on the kitchen counter with the ice cream. I'm like, y'all know what you're doing. Y'all are like, hey, do you know that song that plays in 50 Shades of Grey? Yeah, y'all knew what you were doing. Anyways, Connor and Bree. So he can't cross his legs apparently because it hurts. I only wrote this down because of the absurdity of it. But anyways, Jordan and Amber, last quick thing. Amber would be good to have sex tonight. Let's do this thing. She's also good with waiting, whatever floats your boats. She's like, most men would stick it in a chicken sandwich if they could. I died. I hope they wouldn't stick it in a chicken sandwich. But there are some men out there that are just really weird and would. Now, I hadn't noticed yet at this point, but I heard from other podcasters that I kind of talked about it in passing, that Vic and Christine are not a part of the Mexico trip. That maybe they were added in later because they needed the content. I don't know. I did find it interesting that we have 7 couples. We've not had 7 couples before. When we've had people from past seasons who deserved to be going to the honeymoon trip and weren't because they only had capacity for 7 or 6 couples. So we add Vic and Christine potentially as 7. Okay. Sure. But anyways, that's episode 5, y'all. We're going to take a quick break here, and when we come back, we will jump in with episode 6. Hi, everyone. So I have a new product for you to take part in. This is for J Armor wallets. Now, you can get these wallets for a pretty good price. Partially, it seems at this point, partially American made, but they're going to be planning to be completely American made by the year 2027. the fun part is that you can actually see what new wallet styles are going to be coming in 2026. So a little bit about the company. The company was founded by Jake Hernandez, who is also a part of the U.S. Air Force veteran, or he is a U.S. Air Force veteran. So with his business, he is also supporting charities like anti-child labor organizations, veteran support programs, and efforts to rebuild American manufacturing. So this is clearly something that is very important to him, and honestly, really important to me as well. And for going to the link in the show notes, which I will say what that link is in a minute, but going to the link in the show notes not only helps support this podcast, but is also helping to support J Armor as well as helping support the charities that he finds near and dear to him. So if you go to the show notes and you find that link, the link is jarmorwallets.com/reality times 2. So that is j-armorwallets.com/reality-timestwo. So I hope you go on and support not only me, but as well as this company. Now, that's enough of me. Let's go back to the episode. And I'm back. So let's jump in with episode 6. So Amber and Jordan, they've done the deed. Even with the sleep app machine, it's all good. Alex and Ashley also did the deed. That's not surprising whatsoever. It's Connor's birthday, and all his wishes have come true. So we're gonna go couple by couple. Well, really just 2 couples before the pod. Catch up, we'll call that. So Chris and Jessica, it's like they were made for each other. It's sweet. Alex and Ashley. So he asks her, is love blind for her? She says yes. And then he asks her, like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Or maybe she asks him that because he says, like, adventures. Then we start talking sports, whatever. The only thing I caught in this conversation was that I think she likes David Beckham because of Posh Spice. And yeah, I mean, same. So now we do the catch up here with everybody. We're headed into that meetup. Why the entrance music for everybody felt like I was watching Selling Sunset. But yeah, we mentioned it's Connor's birthday, and Emma and Connor meet each other and they hug, and she says, seeing him brought up emotions and it's a little bit uncomfortable for her. Brittany is realizing that all the women have had sex and she hasn't. I think we spoke on it in the last episode. She is celibate, so she's taking her time. So she's feeling more bad for Devontae than anything else. But she says when they are ready to have sex, they will have sex. Bree bugs me here. Bree bugs the hell out of me here because I don't know what she wants or what she expects. But we'll get to it. Bree was expecting more depth to this pod catch up. She's saying it's just all surface level here. She says, like, we made connections with each other and that there's just no acknowledgement of that. Again, I don't know what she wants from people. We'll get more into that in a little bit. Then she starts dogging on Connor. Your hands are sweaty. Like, okay, you're in Cabo. I think everybody's hands are sweaty. She tells Ashley that no one is acknowledging me. And it's again, what do you expect people to do? Everyone's here with their partners. You're here with your partner. Yeah, you all have this connection with each other through doing this experience, but like, I don't know what she wants. And Connor says, what don't I like about Brie? She doesn't shut the fuck up. Exhibit A. Seriously, Exhibit A. Because she's so, right now, like I like Brie, but right now she's annoying me because it's like, again, y- she just has this weird expectation that only appears to be her expectation. Um, Alex had no complaints. If he had to be picky, she's not his typical type. Mike doesn't like that Emma's suitcase is a mess. So, surface level things that people aren't liking. Amber's like, Jordan is just a genuine nice guy. He does things for me because he wants to, not because he wants my pants or something. I see he does things for other people so she can tell it's really his personality and not, you know, ulterior motives. So we're kind of done with the catch up for now. We move on to Mike and Emma. They are debriefing about the night, and she says, Amber and Jordan are perfect. She don't expect Connor to be Connor. What did you say about me? And he says, I only talked about you not being organized, which is true. He's like, I'm not hating. We are learning. Devontae and Brittany. They are also talking about Amber and Jordan. I think the consensus is that Amber and Jordan are probably going to get married. Well, with that, he is getting sleepy. So, he's going to go to bed now. However, the next morning, we don't get a lot of context here. So we do get a little bit more context in the next episode, I think. But the next morning, Brittany says, I feel lonely in the mornings because he's not there. So then my question was, I'm like, okay, is he getting up and working out? Is he, like, why isn't he there with you? Because I can wrap my mind around he's getting up because he's going to go work out early and, you don't maybe work out or wake up to work out early. So I'm like, I'm thinking that, but if it's something else and he's constantly not there, then I could understand it being an issue. But if he has a routine when it comes to the gym, um, then I think she has to respect that. But we will later find out what he's doing. She says, I see that the only time we kiss is when I go in for a kiss, when she's initiating. So I guess obviously that's making her be in her head. He talks about the future stuff, but like, I don't know. Like, she doesn't, even though he talks about the future, she doesn't know if he actually wants to be in this with her. They're on the beach and she says, I feel like you're distant with me. And he says, I get that, but when I am overwhelmed, I just need to get away. Take pictures or something. He needs to be in his quote unquote nothing box. So I do respect the fact that yes, you do need to be in your quote unquote nothing box, whatever. Um, However, it's like you guys are getting to know each other. And I get this situation is overwhelming, but you're getting to know each other. Why would you not want to have those experiences with her? There are times where you're not on camera, if that's what the issue is. Or if the issue is her, well, then that's a bigger situation. That's a bigger conversation than than this. But we'll get to more on that in the next episode, I believe. Bree and Connor. So he says, thanks for the birthday. What did you think of the girls? She asks him. He says, well, no one is as pretty as you are. But she actually tells him, which is insane to me. I wish we had better conversations with each other when we shared so much. What do you want from this? Why do you think that your unilateral thought process through this is the only one that matters? Yes, you all experience this together, but you are engaged to the people you chose to be engaged with. Personally, what I feel she needs from this, well, let's be real, from Chris, is disrespecting the relationship that he's in with somebody else and disrespecting the relationship she is in with somebody else. What is going on here? She's like, I told these people these things. I have not told anyone else. And again, I'm thinking, okay, does that anyone else include Connor, the person you accepted a proposal from? Because if so, what are we doing? So he disagrees because he says, I have told you everything. He's like, I don't give a shit about any of this. I came in for you. And she says, I am not trying to be dramatic. I just thought it would be different. But you are, Blanche. You are trying to be dramatic. And you're succeeding. This isn't just about you. He asks, do you wish Chris pulls you aside? And she says, well, I don't know, but you do. You do know. You wish that Chris, because again, when you're talking about talking to all these people, whatever, you had connections with Connor and Chris. You ultimately picked Connor over Chris. So clearly you're talking about Chris. Don't fuck with me, girl. I know what you're trying to say, even though you want to pretend like you're not saying it. He says, well, I didn't speak to Emma. I mean, they acknowledged each other's presence, but no, they didn't speak to each other. And maybe that's an extreme, but he, I think, is also trying to process his shit, or maybe not really, and giving space where space needs to be given. This is the first meetup. This is crazy for everybody. So, how about we have some grace for those who, are still trying to figure this out? Um, he says, I would have, but I didn't. She says, I'm actually getting emotional because we went through something together. No, no. You met these people, you get a vibe. Yes, no, maybe about some of these people you've spoken to. You didn't build a connection in the same way with every single person sitting here right now. You didn't. Sorry. You only build a connection with one other person besides the one you're with, based on what we've seen. One that actually would make sense to have a conversation with. Enough. Like, you didn't go through this with everybody. This was your journey and your journey alone. If you end up with somebody, great. But this was still your journey. Ugh, I don't know. This was annoying. Um, so yeah, she says, we went through something, speaking, letters, and she's like, the conversations didn't happen. And she's like, I need a round two. Okay, well, maybe you'll get a round two. Christine and Vic pop in real quick. Oh, look, guys, see them filming on their phones. Yikes. Anyways, I feel like I kind of said what I thought, but I think because I guess they were maybe banking on Kevin picking either Kia or Tyler, and obviously Tyler saying peace, and then Kia being like, I'm gonna choose me. I think then that fell apart, and that's why they ended up with Christine and Vic. But anyways, Alex and Amber, he has no nerves right now because he's persevered in everything he has been through. We'll get more onto that because they're kind of talking about like the wedding, that kind of thing. But I'll come back later. Jessica and Chris. She asks, would your family be upset if you were with someone older? He says no. They'll be okay if they don't, or she says to them, will they be okay if you don't have grandkids? And he says, no, but just you're older does not mean we can't have children. See, this conversation is interesting for what we will kind of hear later, because it makes it seem like children is something that is on the table for them based on this conversation, but I don't actually think it is. So this was weird, but we'll get to that later. Now we have another party, round two for Bree. That's the pool party, so we'll talk about that now. So Bree and Chris, they're talking. She's getting what she wanted. She says that she loves his vigor for life. It's attractive, she says. There are so many other adjectives you could have used, but you had to go for attractive. Great. Apparently, she told Connor that she wants to go to Iceland, I think, and Connor doesn't want to. And then she actually had the audacity to tell the man she's engaged to, well, Chris would. He wants to go. That's not cute. That's not cute. But he thinks her and Connor are good for each other. I don't know, man. Then they hug, but I think Connor is feeling a little bit insecure. He says watching this interaction between them, it's a little difficult for him, which is valid. And then Connor talk. It's pretty much a nothing burger, nothing to say here, because like he already said to Bree, I'm good with the decision I've made. Then the group plays Never Have I Ever, so we learn a few things about some of these people. Chris has had a threesome before. Great. Devante has never had a hickey. And Brittany says, really? She's like, I'll give you your first one. And he says, I don't really want one. Don't do it. Listen, I've had a few, two, maybe three hickeys, not ones I've asked for. I don't want them. I don't like them. They're basically promoting skin cancer. No, thank you. Ugh. But when he says that I don't want one, I think she takes this personally. She doesn't take it as, nah, I ain't about that life. When she's taking it as, oh, he doesn't want one from me because it's going to be from me. Like there's something wrong with me. And I do think she definitely leaped to that. But she feels like their emotional isn't going to translate to physical. She apparently told him, if you want to have sex to help, push this along, then let's just do this and get it over with. Yikes. Listen, I think when a woman has chosen to be celibate for one reason or another, and yes, you're in this experience, and yes, you're getting engaged, and yes, hopefully you're gonna get married at the end of this and live happily ever after, right? But what if you decide to give yourself to this person and then not work out? And then you are saying things like, well, let's just do it and, so, kind of get that off, like, you know, get it over with. I don't like that wording. And I don't want her just having sex with this guy just because she thinks that it will help things along with their connection. Don't do that. Don't. First of all, A, he's not even asking for it in, so many words. And number two, this is not, it's not going to make anything better if there is issues. So she tells Jessica, day one they were making out, but now it's like these grandma type kisses and she's not about it. She's wondering if maybe he's holding back on like making out with her because, maybe that arouses him, which I'm sure it does. And maybe it's uncomfortable for him because he knows sex is probably off the table. So she's just kind of wondering if like maybe that's why he's holding back. Jessica tells her to tell him like how she's feeling. He's not gonna know how you're feeling, and you're not gonna know what he's thinking. And she's like, he may not even know he's doing it. So Alex then tells us that Brittany is the exact type of girl that he would go for. Okay. So he talks to her about Ashley not being his type. Okay. She then says to him, Devante is not my usual type either. All right. So he asks her, okay, what is your usual type? And she says, tall, athletic, or oh no. And to me, in this conversation, it felt like he was trying to do a mind fuck of maybe Devante's not it for you. Maybe. You just never know. Like he's putting it in the air. And I don't think she's doing anything intentionally. However, I do think that he is. So that's the end of the pool party. Alex and Ashley. She asks, anyone flirty? He says, no, not really. Really? I mean, I think I am easy to talk to, but no flirting. Okay. So you are that kind of guy that's going to equate because I'm just an easy guy to talk to. That means you're flirting. Okay. It's like I support the relationship between, all these people, Devontae and Brittany too. Okay, that's interesting that you said that, but okay. So we kind of learn here that Alex is not a one city kind of guy. He kind of likes to do, a new city every 2 months. He's used to the unknown where she is not. They're not going to work out. Absolutely not. Personally, there are huge red flags about this conversation alone, not to mention the other red flags that we haven't even quite dived into yet. Brienne Connor, she says, I'm thankful she needed the part two. Honestly, I could use a part three. Bitch, you reaching. You said you needed a part two. You needed to have a conversation about this experience and sis boom ba. You got it. No part three. This isn't a trilogy, my girl. Okay. It shouldn't even be a sequel. Lord. She's like, it's not because I'm interested in someone. I don't think she is. But I do think she is very selfish, is only in this situation and is only thinking about what she needs. Fuck what everyone else needs. She's like, I just needed to unpack. Well, you did, so why do you need a part three? He says, I guess for me, when I cut it off, I cut it off. Because he said, I'm good, wiping my hands clean. I ain't about this. So it's weird to see you still needing the reassurance. And that is essentially what she needs. And it's eating away at him about where she is at. And she tells him in a weird way that it makes sense to see Chris and Jessica. But, she believed in Connor. And basically, I think what she's trying to say here is because I believed in you, you're the one that I picked. So be patient with me. I think we're moving on to the final couple of this episode, Brittany and Devontae. She tells him basically that she's not feeling the connection between them. And she says, like, are you even attracted to me? And she's like, it doesn't even feel like we are engaged. And he says, we talk about things. I'm sorry that I'm not in the bed with you because I wake up early, but I am not alienating myself from you. So basically, what he's trying to say is because I wake up early, I don't want to be in bed all day, which is totally fine. And, I'll go about my day, but I'm not trying to push you away or not have you involved or something like that. But she feels that way. She feels that he's alienating himself from her. And he says, you need me to constantly talk or hug you, but I don't always have to do those things, which, okay, no, you don't always have to do those things. But then what are you going to do that gives her the reassurance, but then also doesn't require you constantly talking or hugging her? And she says, you could be in there with me to talk, but see, that's his problem. His problem is that he doesn't want to be in bed all day, waiting to talk. He wants to get up, he wants to move, he wants to do what he's got to do. So there's definitely a disconnect there. She says, I've said that already. So he says, I don't want to be cooped up inside. And plus, you're in Cabo. Why are you going to get cooped up inside for? And she says that we are in the honeymoon phase, which is, what they say this is. But he says, no, blind fuck that. He says this is not the honeymoon stage or phase. Well, technically it's not. Technically, a honeymoon does follow a wedding. So I gotta agree with him on that. But I don't know. No buts. We still have to figure things out, he says. And she says, we should want to be around each other. Fair. I agree. You should want to be around each other. And she says, I'm not saying, you're not listening, but I am shocked by this response, because I think she is thinking it's a little, I don't know, narcissistic is the right word to use, but that's kind of essentially where we're at, that's what she's feeling. Um, I think there are two people who do not understand each other yet. I think there are two people who are still navigating this new thing in life, which is potentially a marriage at the end of it. So I get it, but there does need to be some give and take on her part, being a little bit more patient. I do think like he should be able to kiss her, hug her, hold hands with her, whatever. I don't think that's crazy. But for whatever reason, she's needing more. And I don't know. He's not saying he can't give it to her, but he's just saying like, this is me, you know? But anyways, that is episode 6. And that is ends our episode we're covering 5 and 6 here. So that's of my episode. Episode 7 will be coming soon. But until then, that is it for me. That is it for this episode. If you liked what you heard, bear with me, because I have not done an outro for the podcast in quite some time. So bear with me here. So if you liked what you heard, you can go to any of your favorite podcast apps. You can follow, make sure you don't miss a single episode. And you can also rate the podcast at either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It'd be greatly appreciated. As a reminder, any 5-star ratings that are given to the podcast or any comments that are given to the podcast will be read on the podcast, which I have done in the past. If you want to connect with the podcast through social media, you can find me at Facebook and Instagram at realityt times 2. You can also find me at Twitter, TikTok, and Blue Sky at reality times 2 pod, I believe. You can email me at realityt times 2 at hotmail.com, and you can have any inquiries, anything like that, any ideas, any shows or episodes you want me to cover, you can definitely do that over there. And I am going back to our old website, and that is at solo.to/realityt times 2. There you can get any of the links to anything that I didn't mention here, any of the socials, website, email, all of that. It's all there for you. And we also have a new thing there where you can help support the podcast as well. It's called a tip jar. And you could tip whatever your heart's desire if you want to support the podcast, but don't want to necessarily support the podcast in going to Patreon, for example, or any of the links in any of the advertisements. You can do it there. But since we're on the topic of Patreon, you can head on over to patreon.com/reality times 2, where there you can get access to even more than what I do here. There are 3 different tiers where you can get these shows ad free, as well as our next tier up where you would get another reality show that's being covered. So, we have Jersey Shore that's been getting covered. That's still being covered currently at the time of recording of this outro, but the future is bright with what's to come in the future, which I will be discussing, or I have discussed. I don't even know. And then also our next tier is a true crime tier as well. So you can definitely head over for that. But that is basically it. I will also just quickly mention here too, if you're interested in a different take of a podcast that I'm a part of, we do things a little differently. You can head on over to Next Take Podcast, where I usually drop bonus episodes here on this feed, but there you get a lot more. And that podcast is making changes. We're growing, doing new things, but you can definitely head on over there if you want to just hear a little bit different than what I do over here. So you can find that podcast over at our website. You go solo.to/next take podcast. And there we'll have all the links to your desire that will link you to any of your favorite podcast apps or YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all of it. Social medias, it's all over there. But of course, you can still find that podcast at any of your favorite podcast apps. But that is it for this episode. We'll see you next time with another episode. Bye, everybody.